How's it going, everybody? And welcome again to another episode of Continue the Conversation podcast. My name is David Ray. We're so glad you joined us today, and I'm here with Pastor Mike. Pastor Mike, what is up?
What's up, bro? Just kicking it, me and you all day in the studio.
Loving life, hanging out.
How are the Rays, man?
Rays are good.
Yeah.
School's getting ready to be done. And
wrapping it up.
Summertime coming.
Kids making good grades like their dad.
Like their mom. Like their
they
mom,
get brains from their mama, but their sense of humor from their dad.
Well, I don't know, but they'll have their report card. I'm like, that looks great. That's a lot better than me. Be stressed about a C. You're doing great.
Hey, man, you pass.
Do your
baby.
best.
You pass.
Yeah. You look nice, man.
Thank you, sir.
I kind of
appreciate it. Yeah, I wish you would have raised the bar a little bit today.
I saw you and I was like, oh, great.
I found this homeless guy off the street and man, I felt sorry for him and wanted to shoot a podcast with him. I'm messing, dude. I love having fun with you.
I'll do better next time.
No, bro. Hey, it's not the outward appearance.
Me. The Lord looks at the heart.
Man looks at the outward. That's right. God sees
calling
your
out
heart.
my outward.
You're the one that called it out, dude.
Yeah, I said you look good. You said you found me off the streets. Hey, well, I was so thrilled about what we're talking about today.
Oh, it's going to be good stuff.
Talk about some leadership.
Yeah, leadership is a big deal. Leadership raises the bar in every area of our lives.
Yeah, and talking about kind of what brings teams together, what makes teams great. And I know, we were even discussing earlier this week just how this content's going to be applicable for families and parents and students, and if somebody's running a business or working at a business or involved in ministry, leading a small group on a weekend team, whatever, it's going to be.
It translates in so many different areas.
Absolutely. So I'm fired up about this.
Yeah, I am too, man. Great. And part of these reflections are the team that God has assembled at HPC. We are blessed with a great team.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about our church is how we're so team oriented, team focused in our ministry and caring for people, across campuses and how we move the mission forward. To be a healing place for a hurting world, it takes a team.
Yeah, it really does. A lot of people, a lot of responsibility. And you think about from a staff standpoint, obviously you, the tip of the spear, leading the way, and then all of our campus pastors and leadership team and people who work on teams. I'm telling you, we've got some amazing people.
We really do. Humble, hardworking, don't care who gets the credit, fully invested.
Yeah.
And we say this a lot, but you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with.
That's great. That's
great.
great.
I feel like God's gifted us, man.
Yeah.
It's a blessing to be with you today, man.
It's good to be here. And then thinking too, like you got this team that's on staff, and then we couldn't do what we do. I mean, can you imagine?
Talk to me about our volunteers, bro.
I mean, the volunteers and leaders and small group leaders and weekend teams and outreach teams. And I mean, you can just think like a lot of these people, it's like they almost work full time with the church and just volunteer. And just we would not be able to do what we do without them.
Sometimes I get here early on a Sunday and you see hundreds of people already.
Cars everywhere already.
Yeah, parking lot all set up and teams that are meeting before service starts. And, I'm thinking these people work so hard all during the week. Some of them 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Man, they're grinding.
Yeah.
And then they come to the house of God. They love the house of God. They value it. And I'm praying, Lord, just as they have prioritized your house, would you multiply it back and bless theirs?
That's good. Well, it's a huge honor, man. Awesome honor. But we're going to talk about what brings a team together. So we're gonna see how it goes, man. We're just gonna start kicking it around a little bit. I know you got some thoughts, but I know the first thing that we're gonna talk about is just the importance of vision. Vision.
That's it. That is huge. That is the non-negotiable. You got to have vision. Obviously Proverbs says, I think it's 29:18, where there is no vision. Yeah, people perish or they cast off restraint. But the opposite is equally true. In the presence of vision, people flourish.
Right.
And so when vision is present, it provides direction. It gives people a sense of purpose. It draws the target, and that's why I'm grateful for the vision God's given us to be a healing place for a hurting world. It's simply stated, but it requires a whole lot.
Right.
And one thing I've learned. This is my 30th year of ministry, man.
30
years.
What's
dude.
that, like silver? What is 30?
What
Anybody
is
know?
30? No, I think I'm talking about like
Isn't there a color? Or is it 25?
25 is silver. I think 50 is
There's no
gold.
30.
30's maybe
30 is
what-
just great.
Was it brass?
think
I don't know what is
platinum.
30. But platinum. It's a long time, man.
So there's no color
Hey,
for that. Yeah, there's
ministry
never
is
that.
kind of like dog years. So maybe
Yeah.
it's like 210,
Yeah.
years of ministry.
Well, you look great.
Well, thank
You've
you.
aged well.
But man, now what was I saying?
30 years of ministry.
30 years. Okay, 30 years of ministry. As it relates to vision, one thing that I've noticed is that vision has a tendency to leak. Vision leaks. It's almost like air in your tires. It's easy for the air to leak. When I was thinking about this the other day, the kids were small and they wanted to ride bikes. Every time we'd go to get the bikes, I'd have to air up tires. You have to put air in the tires. You ever try to pedal a bike
Oh, yeah.
with no air in the tires?
Not fun.
Whew, it is work. It's labor. I mean, your legs are on fire, man. You're burning. And this is why, where there is no vision, people burn out. It creates burnout because people are actively doing things, but if it's not tied to vision, then it just becomes labor toil.
So how okay, so for you, you're leading a large church, God's called you, you've got vision. How do you ensure that doesn't leak, like you described, within the church, within the team? Like, what are things that are practiced and done to help make sure the tires are full?
Great question. And I think you do a great job of this too. You keep vision in front of people. You're constantly speaking about it. It's some of these sayings. We have some cultural statements here that we constantly talk about in your meetings. You bring up whatever that cultural statement is. Hey, this is what we're focusing on this month. This is what we're celebrating. Because, if you reinforce it and you celebrate it, then it begins to multiply and grow. And so we talk about it a lot in meetings. We reward it when we see it happening.
Yeah.
In our preaching and in our teaching, we keep it before the church.
Right.
Super important because there's a lot of great churches doing a lot of great things, but your vision is who your thumbprint is. It's who you are in the community. I remember, when we first got started 33 years ago, we're trying to figure out our identity. Who are we in this community? And we made a decision not to try to be the best church in the city, but the best church for the city. What can we do for this community? That's where the whole serving thing really got birthed.
Right.
And you just can't talk about it enough. You can't celebrate it enough. You can't reward it enough. When you catch somebody doing something right, you got to make a champion out of that moment. And not just in church, but in business. There are business leaders that are listening to this. It's easy to drift. It's easy for a family to lose sight of its vision. I mean, there are times when I have to call the Haman tribe together.
Little huddle.
That's it. We call ourselves the Hamanites. And so the Hamanite huddle. Hey, huddle up, guys. Listen, I just want to remind us who we are. This is what we're about. And so you see your kids doing something right, celebrate it. Celebrate them in front of their siblings. Somebody brings home good grades on a report card.
Hey.
Man, you got to take them out to
go
eat,
eat some
man.
pizza.
I was thinking more like Texas Day pizza.
I don't know. It's what budget we're talking about here.
But
We got a Costco pizza coming.
Hey,
Those are good.
Hey,
man.
I have heard
They're good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not expensive either.
No, great price.
Yeah.
But that's good. So it's a really, what I'm hearing you say is you have to identify what the vision is. Because if somebody can be like, oh, I'm full of vision, but if they don't articulate,
They don't communicate it. Yeah.
define what it is, write down what the vision is, and then making sure that those things are, what you said, rewarded.
Yeah.
That when somebody is fulfilling the vision of the house or the vision of the business, the vision of the home, the family, that it's celebrated, it's rewarded. And then too, and you didn't mention this necessarily, but also sometimes you have to course correct.
That's right.
When it's
That's right.
when it's the opposite or it's
Right.
not done, and not in a belligerent way, but in a way that is helpful.
That's right.
And hey, we're getting off course here. And so I like that. It's very helpful. I think just very practical of like writing it down.
Yep.
understanding, internalizing it, but also verbalizing it.
Right.
So you got it mentally, internally, and then you're verbalizing it, and then you've created the guardrails. You've created the pathway, and you're able to guide, you're able to teach, you're able to celebrate or correct based upon the articulation and the definition of what you're trying to achieve and do.
Yeah. Habakkuk chapter 2, I think verses 2 and 3, write the vision down.
Yes.
Make
Write
it
it down.
plain.
Yes.
So those that read it may run with it. You know, it's hard to, expect somebody to run with the vision when you haven't written it down and made it clear. It says the vision is yet for an appointed time. For wait for it, though it tarries, it will surely come, and at the end it will not speak. So a vision is powerful. Jesus was constantly articulating the vision of the kingdom to his disciples. Sometimes you'll read the Gospels and be like, man, Jesus, you've said that before. Why you got to say it again?
Yeah.
Well, the disciples didn't get it,
They
and you
didn't
know
get
what? We don't always get it too.
Right.
It has to be repeated. And just when you have worn yourself out thinking you've said it enough,
Say it again.
that's it, because they're just now starting to
Right.
catch it.
Yeah.
You
That's great. It's really good. Anything else with the vision side that you want to touch on?
Obviously, and we're in a lot of conversations, with our leadership team. We talk about vision and provision.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't want to reduce the size of your vision.
That's good. Yeah.
Based
Drill into that.
on
That's
limited
good.
provision.
Right. Because that's man.
Right.
Man versus what God.
Right. I think that's what Jesus was trying to teach, his disciples when he did the miracle of the fish and the loaves.
Yes.
Because the need was overwhelming and the resources were limited. And Jesus basically said, hey, no, you feed them. You do the impossible. Well, it would take a year's wages to buy enough grocery, So Jesus was testing them and stretching them, and I think he does the same for us. And so, especially when you're fighting battles or you're going through dark and difficult seasons, you need to keep vision alive.
Yes.
You keep your vision big. And I'm not saying be sloppy in your spending. You want to have good stewardship, but you never want to let provision limit the size of the vision. It's in that space, in that gap, where God begins to do supernatural things.
That's good. It's almost like don't let the limitations of now determine the potential of later, right? Because it's like somebody might be starting out, and you have to be realistic with your family, your business, or whatever you're trying to accomplish with where you are now. But God's picture, God's vision, and I think it'd be good to even speak into that a little bit, how you develop a vision. But God's vision might be substantially higher, and so it's I think that's a perfect example using about the fish and the loaves. It's Jesus in one gospel. It says he already knew what he was going to do,
Right.
But he said, "Hey, well, what's the plan here? We got a problem. What's the plan?" But he already knew. And I feel like God knows. And sometimes we just limit the ceiling. We bring it down so low. God says, man, I want to bust that ceiling. And so what would you say even people are like, okay, I don't have a vision for my life even. Like, what do you do? Or maybe they are starting a business or their family, maybe starting to have kids, about to get married. What do you even do to start?
Yeah, well, I think there's something to be said for just faithfulness with what God has put in your hand. You may not understand the dreams of your heart just yet, or even know how to articulate that. But if you faithfully steward what God has put in your hand, then the things in your heart begin to come alive. What's in your hand is not the enemy of what's in your heart. So I think, doing what you know to do. Healing Place Church didn't start with me. I was a part of, vision was already established. And so my commitment was, hey, how can I do my very best to move the vision forward? So the seed wasn't necessarily in me to create it or to dream it, but I had to be faithful when, Pastor Dino DeLynn stepped out. Okay, I want to be faithful in another man's vision. And I think even Luke 16:12, Jesus, he's talking about stewardship. Verse 10 says, he that is faithful in that which is little is faithful also in much. Verse 12 says, if you can't be faithful with that which belongs to another man, how can God trust you with something of your own? So I do think that maybe part of it is, okay, just serve where you are and trust God.
Be faithful today.
Yeah. Trust God to stir that thing in your heart, and he'll crystallize that in time.
That's good.
I think you got a lot of people that are saying, hey, here's my vision, here's my vision, here's my vision. But man, hey, what about this steady stewardship, faithfulness, grinding each and every day right where you are? There's something to be said.
Hands to the plow.
Got to.
Just keep working. So it's not just like, hey, I'm trying to get here, but it's today I'm focused on this in order to get there. Not this pie in the sky deal, right? You know what I mean?
Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
Yeah.
That's kind of the end. the infancy stage of that, and then you mature along the way. You know, sometimes what you think is, hey, here's my vision, is really more about you. You know, and than it is about eternal purpose. And so as you grow, God has to purge you of some things. And then it's like, oh, okay, I see it a little bit better now. I kind of made that about me early on, but I realized, you know, that it's not about me. God's wanting to use me for something bigger.
That's good.
You know, and if your vision isn't toward adding value to others, then, you know, you probably need to recheck that one.
Recheck the vision.
Yeah.
You know, you said something which I want to just circle back on, and I get it. It's like you stepped into a vision that already existed and that the church was established, healing place for hurting world. But at the same time, you stepped in years ago, and now, you know, there's campuses internationally that didn't exist in Honduras and in Spain. The expansion of what's happened in Mozambique, what's happened at Denham Springs, what's happened at Ascension Campus, what's happened in prison ministry, and the ripple effect of all these things, what's happening with discipleship and small groups and just the focus on connection. So it's like you did step into a vision that was already had a foundation, but man, God has used you to build this incredible structure that now there's a amazing testimony of God's faithfulness and goodness. You know what I mean? So I know you wouldn't say that about yourself, but it's like you did put your hand to the plow, but you also were thinking and praying and asking God for direction and getting the right people around you.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. That kind of points back to the team.
Yeah.
You know, the team that's been assembled and them really buying into, you know, sometimes as a leader, a business owner, as a parent, you can be sold out to the vision, but you're thinking, man, nobody else around me really carries it. You know, they're not as passionate about it as me. So I do think that there is a lot to be said for not just vision, but then this next word, connection. Yeah. So not only does vision, you know, bring a team together, but connection. And this is really, really key. Strong connections give people a sense of belonging. And if you think about, you know, the vision that Jesus imparted when he came to earth, this was you know, an awareness of the kingdom coming near. And he kept talking to his disciples, you know, and Jesus could have accomplished it all by himself had he wanted to, but what he modeled was connectivity, you know, investing himself into 12 men. And, you know, when you have a common mission and a kingdom connection, special things happen. And that's what I've seen happen here at the church. You know, there's kingdom connection, spirit-born relationships. People feel a sense of belonging. We talk about big enough to reach the world, but we've emphasized small enough to feel like home.
Right.
And when people feel known, you know, man, I'm invested because I'm known. I'm seen. I'm valued. I'm heard. My ideas matter. That's why I think the larger an organization or a church becomes, the harder they have to work at staying relationally connected.
Right. Yeah, because it's almost like oftentimes processes and systems which are absolutely necessary. You can't just say, well, I don't want any of that, and you don't want any organization in what you're trying to accomplish. You have to have it. But the balance of managing that while also people. That's it. Yeah. It's people are not a means to an end. Right.
I mean, it is all about everything we do, whether it's a program, a service, an outreach, you know, this podcast. This is about bringing value to people.
Yes.
And you're in the people business. You're not using people. I'm going to use people to accomplish what's in my heart. Check your heart.
Not a means to an end.
Right.
It's you care deeply about them. And people can sense if that's authentic or not. And they want to be around individuals who care about them. You know, I even think about like at our Highland campus with our nursery team. They are so intentional when somebody has a 1 year they've been serving in the nursery that they celebrate and get them a little gift. You know, when somebody gets on the team, their celebration for birthdays and anniversaries and the height. And you think about how large Highland is, and I know all of our campuses do a good job at this, but the intentionality of just saying, hey, we see you, you matter, you're important, connection, even with our staff. The larger we've gotten, we've like tried to be, hey, how can we make somebody everybody's first day, first week so meaningful? What's their favorite snacks? What's their favorite thing to go and eat? What do they like? And so having note cards and welcoming emails from the staff to them on their first day. And like we try to do all these things to large, but make it feel like home.
Yeah. Well, just so the other day when we had that lunch for some of the new staff.
That was a blast.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And so we're seated at tables, which was intentional. And, food is always a staple here at HPC, man. That love language, man, it opens up life. But what I thought was really cool was because again, the staff is new and there's some, still getting to know each other and know the church. But they had a sheet of questions to ask.
Yeah.
And I thought
icebreakers.
Yeah, which was fantastic. We, I had about a dozen questions. We maybe got to like 2 of them. But you sit around the table and you're asking questions and you start laughing. You start getting to know. And so you say, well, how do I make better connections? Ask questions.
That's good.
And this is something that I'll just speak for me because I know as pastors, we're preaching and we're teaching. So you're always in an environment where, man, you're giving out and you got to share something, cast vision, say something, teach something, whatever. But I almost have to really put the brakes on and be really intentional in group settings. Ask people how they're doing.
Yes.
What's going on in their world with their family? What are their challenges? What are their frustrations? What are their excitement? And the more questions you ask, the more you find out about somebody. And there's just a real fine line between loving and listening. And I think most people can't tell the difference. You love people by listening to them. And when you're a good listener, now you're dialed into their world.
That's good.
They
Man, that's
feel
gold.
connected.
Yes.
So,
and you really are. You're so great at that because I like that example you gave. Like when you're preaching, of course, this is a monologue. It's not everybody's not talking and giving their points during the message. It is hey, this is I'm going through a message here. But then in those one-on-one settings and those small group settings is asking people about themselves. And that does connect hearts, And a great question just to ask people if they're like, man, I don't really know. Maybe you're with your family or whatever context is just sometimes ask, hey, how can I pray for you? Just that simple question. And then praying for them and following up. Talk about connection. That connects people's hearts so much.
I talked to a friend of mine who's a business owner, and he is really, that very point that you made, he's really taken steps of faith to ask that to his employees.
That's great.
And what you find is when people feel like they belong and that they're cared for, productivity increases.
Right.
And just the intentionality of being able to ask that. And even, when you're having to bring correction to somebody, we make corrections by making connections. Those things, if people, when you dial into somebody, even when you have to kind of redirect some thinking or help people along, they receive it so much better when they feel like, okay, I am a part of the team and what I do, it matters.
Yeah. And their perspective too, because I've watched you many times when you are having tough conversations. There's not accusation, there's questions. Hey, help me understand what went on here. Help me understand the thought process behind it.
That's great.
And you do that so well that it invites a reply, and then there's able to be conversation as opposed to you have a meeting with somebody and you're like, how could you do this? I can't believe. It's none of that. Because like you said, it's vision, and then we're trying to connect. We're trying to show value and care.
I think it's good, too, for parents who are listening to this. Because I know we're constantly correcting kids.
We just want to say it.
Yeah. And fix this, change that, show them their errors. And all of those things are important. But how connecting will help you in correcting.
That's great.
I love that. I wish I would have known that earlier in my parenting journey.
Hey, you're going to be a great grandparent.
Grandparents, come on, man. My little Silas, he just made one not long ago.
That's
wow.
awesome.
Love that boy.
That is awesome. So we talked about vision.
Connection.
The third thing is trust.
Trust. Yeah. I think this is huge because trust acts as the cornerstone for your team. It really is. It strengthens collaboration. It enables you to have confidence in each other. And leadership starts with trust. I think that trust has to be earned. It's not just automatic because I have a title. No. I feel like it's my responsibility to earn people's trust by how I live, by the example that I set. But if trust is established, think about this progression. trust builds credibility, and credibility creates influence. So a leader that hasn't built trust can't expect true followers.
That's great.
Sometimes people they'll clock in because it's a job.
Right.
But if there's trust, they're going to follow. And that's what Jesus demonstrated. My goodness, the buy-in that he had, phenomenal.
Yeah.
He set the right example. Man, he lived what he preached.
Right.
Man, he gained massive credibility. These men, they left their jobs, left their families. I mean, put it all to the side to follow their rabbi. And then the influence of Jesus it grew. And that's the critical mass you need to move things forward. Trust is the currency of leadership. And, it takes a long time to build trust.
Long time. Does it take long to break it, though?
No, only moments to break it.
Yeah.
Every day is like a drop in the bucket. If you can just add another drop in the bucket of trust, over time that bucket fills.
Yes.
Man, and that's hopefully, and again, as a church, you want to build trust within the community.
Right.
Be true to your mission. That we're not perfect. We don't always get it right. We don't always say it right. Sometimes our execution is flawed, but we want to build trust in our community, and that comes through drops every single day.
Yeah.
A little drop.
That's
you
right.
do an
I love that
outreach,
picture.
a little drop in the bucket.
Yep.
Show care for people. It's another drop in the bucket. Be steady in the storms. Sometimes when people they press panic or there's chaos or confusion, if you just hold steady. This is one of the things that, during COVID, 2020 was just a crazy year. You had COVID, you had, some of the cultural and social unrest. It was an election year, and it was just, it felt like everything was just on high alert. And I remember talking to a pastor, a friend of mine. He told me this, and I felt like this was really, really valuable, not just for that season, but for every season of being tested. He said, how you lead during this season will determine who you lead after this season. Wow. So and this was during COVID, how you lead during COVID will determine who you lead afterwards. And that made me think, well, that's true with every crisis.
Right.
And there's a lot of turmoil in our country and our culture. But if we build trust, then your influence grows and you continue to move the mission forward.
That's really good. And this is the fact that people are always watching.
Yes.
And it's just a reality. It's funny. We went to a school function and I was present, but I probably wasn't thrilled to be present. And there was a guy that I didn't know. He goes to our Ascension campus, and he came up to me after. He said, "Smile, Pastor." And I was like, "Oh, you caught me, man." I was just like, "Oh, man." And so every time I see him now, I'm like,
That's great.
But I love that. You have to earn it. I like that you said that. It's not, hey, I expect you to trust me. That builds credibility and builds where people will follow you.
And so too, I'm thinking about those who are in business listening to this, and those who, work on a job and they're on a team. How do you build trust within that team? Well, it's about taking personal responsibility. It's about showing up on time.
Yeah.
Little things.
Yeah.
Little things mean a lot. It's about coming prepared. It's about following through on the things you say you're going to do. It's about taking ownership of the mistakes that you make.
Yes, that's a big one.
That is a big, and especially for leaders.
Yes.
I know I have made my mistakes along the way, and Rachel and I, we talk about this. I think it's important that we own the mistakes that we made, because when you don't, you lose trust.
Yeah.
But
when you sweep it under the rug, act like it's no big deal.
Well, I guess you're not applying your own. But if you take responsibility for the mistakes you make, then people are like, oh wow. I can remember in a staff meeting a couple of years ago, just having to own up, in a staff setting and be like, hey, listen, guys, I probably didn't act the way I should have. I know I could do better. And I expect better of myself. And I know you hold me to a high standard. And it was one of those things you just have to really humble yourself, And afterwards, it's funny because I got so much positive feedback.
Really?
After that. I told Rachel, I said, babe, that felt so good. I'm thinking about making another mistake just so I can own it in front of everybody. And I say that,
That's funny.
with a little comic humor. But, I do think that when there's awareness
Right.
of falling
Well, there's
short,
something endearing when you see someone who is leading at a high level and they understand they're human and understand they make mistakes and are willing to admit it instead of acting like they're always Superman or Superwoman and they have it all together and they didn't really make a mistake as somebody else. Because sometimes leaders are really good at pointing fingers, and that's when influence is just shot. Culture is shot. It's destroyed. And so I love that about you, about our church, about people who serve, and it's so critical. It's like humility works.
Hey, go
Jesus was he was on to something. It's like if he humbled himself, how much more should we humble ourselves? But the difference is he humbled himself and he had no sin. He had no mistakes. And then we have leaders.
he never missed it.
Yeah, we
He
have
never
leaders
missed
today
it.
who can't humble themselves and say, hey, man, I botched that. I missed that. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. My tone was wrong or my attitude was not correct. And it's like that is, thank you, authenticity. That's what people crave and desire. And the same thing in our homes.
Yes.
Like if I lose my temper, get upset, and just get all grouchy, man, doing dishes or whatever it is, it's like, okay, I shouldn't have acted that way. And a great leader will take ownership of it and correct it.
Have you ever had to apologize to your kids?
Yes.
Good. I was hoping I wasn't the only one.
If you're watching now, I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what?
But you know what it teaches your
good.
kids? And you know what it teaches your team as a leader? It teaches them to own their mistakes too.
Absolutely.
And that, because that's what you want.
Yep.
You want people to take personal responsibility. But as a leader, if you're not willing to do that, you expect that in others, but you don't model that yourself, that's when a breakdown happens.
So when you make a mistake with Rachel, do you say to her, I'm not perfect, but I serve the one who is?
That was good, Dave. That was good. I need to.
Come on, girl, put that.
I put them 10-string instruments together. You were so wrong.
Then welcome.
That's awesome. That's terrible. If I were to do that,
Dude, that would be awesome.
throwing frying pans would be an Olympic sport, man.
I just want video. Man, this has been great. I love it.
I've had to apologize to her. I promise I've apologized to her way more than she's had to apologize to me.
Well, you do a great job.
Hey, I knew I married Miss Wright. I just didn't know her first name was always.
Hey, this has been great.
It's been fun, man. Vision, connection,
and trust.
Trust.
And hey, next we're just gonna keep going.
That's it.
I mean, just the tip
Lots
of the
to talk
iceberg
about.
right here.
Holding teams, businesses, churches, families together.
Yeah.
These are essential, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. This has been fun. Hey, thank you guys so much. If this has been helpful, share it with somebody you know. We love you. We'll see you back soon. God bless.